Welcome to this video on the ISP and Implementation Strategy Review. In this training, we're going to walk through one of the most critical parts of your role as a direct support professional, the Individualized Support Plan, or ISP. The ISP outlines the daily routine, goals, and support strategies for your client, and it's truly the foundation of the work we do here. We'll be covering everything from understanding the ISP itself to how it informs your day-to-day tasks and how it helps us provide the best care and support for each individual. This is the bread and butter of being a DSP. So let's dive in and get started. Before we dive into the details, let's take a moment to meet the team of education specialists who will be creating and sharing the ISP implementation strategies with you. These dedicated professionals are here to support you in delivering the best care possible, ensuring that each plan is tailored to meet the unique needs of every client. Rachel Linder is our Washington County Education Specialist. She holds a master's degree in elementary education. Her background includes extensive experience working with younger students, supervising and coaching student teachers, and teaching in migrant education programs during the summer. This diverse experience gives Rachel a unique perspective on individualized learning plans and client care. Her commitment to fostering growth and meeting each client's specific needs makes her an invaluable member of our education team. Erin Rawlick is currently completing her master's degree in special education, bringing a fresh academic perspective to her work. She serves as our Clackamas County Education Specialist, where she ensures that our team is fully equipped to meet the individualized needs of our clients. Erin's commitment to the IDD field is clear in both her professional and personal life, where she consistently demonstrates dedication and passion for making a positive impact. Linda Neely is our Marion County Education Specialist. She is a retired teacher with over 30 years of experience in educational settings. She holds a master's degree in special education and has a wealth of knowledge and experience that spans decades. Linda's background brings invaluable insights and expertise to our team. She is an essential part of how we support and educate both our staff here in the office, our DSPs, and our clients. Now let's talk about the ISP review process. The Oregon Administrative Rules provide clear guidance on how and when ISP reviews must take place. More specifically, OARs outline the training and compliance requirements for these reviews. It's essential that we follow these regulations closely to ensure that we're meeting the legal standards as a company and you as the DSPs, and also that we're providing the best support possible to our clients. Under these OARs, DSPs are not allowed to work alone with a client until they've reviewed the ISP implementation strategy. Our education specialists will review this strategy with you. While you may provide support during the transitional period, someone who is fully familiar with the ISP must be present to supervise or be in close proximity to oversee your work. This will likely be a family member of the client. Additionally, all DSPs must complete the review of the implementation strategy within 60 days of starting with a new client. ISPs are also updated annually, requiring a fresh review each year to remain compliant with the OARs. Annual reviews must also take place within 60 days of the new ISP. So even if you're a longtime DSP with us, you will still need to complete yearly reviews of the ISP. In this section, we'll talk about the documentation related to the ISP and how it's managed for both clients and DSPs. First, it's essential that each client or their legal guardian has a full copy of the ISP in their home. This document contains vital information about the client's care plan, goals, and strategies, ensuring they or their guardian are informed and aligned with the care being provided. However, one critical rule to remember is that ISP documents containing client identifiers must never leave the client's home. These documents are protected under HIPAA regulations and should remain private. If for any reason the client or guardian does not have a copy of the ISP, they can reach out to their relationship coordinator who can provide one to the guardian or the client. For DSPs, you will be given an identifier-free version of the ISP implementation strategy. This version will give you all the necessary guidance and strategies to support the client during your shift, while ensuring the client's personal details remain protected. It's important to note that ISPs are subject to HIPAA regulations, meaning they contain sensitive personal information that should never be shared with anyone outside of the immediate care team. This confidentiality helps protect the client's privacy and ensures compliance with federal laws. Be sure to review the ISP implementation strategy carefully before your shift, but always handle it responsibly, ensuring no personal information is shared or exposed outside of the client's care. Before we move on, I'd like to give a quick introduction to the implementation strategy document. This is the primary tool that education specialists use during the ISP review call with you. It's designed to give you a clear, actionable breakdown of the support strategies you'll be implementing with your client. The document is divided into two key parts: confidential information here at the top, and after we get through the confidential information, there's a shareable information section. The confidential information section contains specific details about your client. There could be medical information in here and behavioral notes. This information is essential for providing effective support, but it should never be shared outside of the direct care team. It is protected under HIPAA, so confidentiality is critical. We ask that you don't repeat, screenshot, or share this information in any form. This first part of the document is for your information only during the review call. If you need to refer back to any of these details, like the phone numbers or the number of hours that your client has, you're welcome to contact us again, but we won't be providing you with a permanent copy of this section to ensure confidentiality. The second part of this document is the shareable section of the implementation strategy. This section is designed specifically for your day-to-day use, and we will provide you with a copy so that you can refer to it whenever needed. The education specialists have worked to remove client identifiers, making it identifier-free and omitting sensitive personal information. This streamlined guide is ideal for quick reference during your shifts, allowing you to stay focused on the client's goals without compromising their privacy. The shareable section includes your client's strengths and preferences and goals. So here under desired outcomes, we have a list of goals and steps to achieve those. This mirrors the ISP, but it removes specific and sensitive details. It can also cover things like known risks that are specific to your client, as well as any additional information. It might have nurse delegated tasks or possibly a positive behavior support plan. If your clients have additional documents, your education specialist will break them down into this implementation strategy for you. The education specialist will discuss all aspects of this document with you during the ISP review call. And again, each section will be broken down, and your ed specialist will go over the strategies that are specific to your client and exactly what steps you will need to take to effectively support them. At the end of this document, you'll also find helpful resources that are tailored to you and your client. They're there to support you, so please take advantage of them. If there's additional resources that you would like, please don't hesitate to ask, and we will look for things for you. This document overall is the roadmap for providing effective support, so take time to get familiar with it, and don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have questions, if we need to clarify anything, or if you need additional resources. If for some reason you lose this document and you need another one, we will email you one. We email one after the ISP review call, but if you need another one, just let us know. We do keep these on file, and we're happy to send you another one if needs be. I hope that helps. Now that we've covered the rules, regulations, and types of documents you'll receive, let's move on to the heart of the ISP, the individual components that make up the plan. These components are what guide your daily interactions with your client, ensuring that their goals and needs are met in a consistent, supportive way. We'll walk through each section of the ISP, breaking down what you can expect to see, how to interpret the information, and how it will shape your approach to client care. Understanding these components is key to implementing the strategies correctly and providing the best support possible. Let's dive into what makes up the ISP and how it's structured for success. The first section of the ISP that DSPs need to focus on is the one-page profile. This is where you get a clear, concise overview of your client's strengths, interests, and how best to support them. It serves as a valuable guide for your interactions and should be reviewed carefully before you start working with the client. The one-page profile highlights what your client enjoys, what they are good at, and gives you insight into their personality. You'll learn about their preferences, which helps build rapport, and understand the areas where they shine, so you can use those strengths to support their development. Before moving on to the rest of the ISP and focusing on desired outcomes, you need to get familiar with this section. It will help you start forming ideas about how you can assist your client in achieving their goals. Think of this as your foundation. It should shape how you approach your time with the client and inform the strategies that you use. As you review the one-page profile, ask yourself, what does my client like? What are their strengths? How can I use this information to build a plan of action? By taking this time up front, you'll be better equipped to implement the next steps of the ISP successfully. Now let's move on to the desired outcomes section and explore how we turn these strengths and interests into actionable goals. This section is called the desired outcomes, and it's the heart of what being a DSP is all about. Your role is centered on helping the client achieve these outcomes during your time together. Desired outcomes represent the major goals that the client is working toward, whether it's gaining independence, learning new skills, or accomplishing specific tasks. Your daily focus should be on supporting the client to reach these milestones. Every shift, you will document what you did to help the client make progress toward their desired outcomes. This documentation is crucial as it tracks the client's progress and ensures we're meeting their needs. There will be more detailed instructions later on how to enter your shift notes in the portal, but for now, let's focus on understanding the desired outcomes themselves. Each desired outcome is a large, overarching goal, like obtaining a job or improving social skills. While this section tells you what the client is working on, it doesn't provide specifics on how to get there. That's where the next part, the key steps or goals, comes in. The key steps breaks down the desired outcome into smaller, actionable tasks that help the client achieve their goal. For example, if the desired outcome is to get a job, the key step might include researching job opportunities or filling out job applications. You might combine two or more key steps in one activity during a shift, like researching jobs and submitting applications at the same time. This is perfectly fine. Just be sure to document all the steps in your shift notes. The next part of this section outlines who is responsible for supporting the client in achieving the desired outcome and includes a timeline for how long it should take. It's essential that you track and record the steps you've taken to help the client, as this document will serve as a record of their progress. You'll log these interactions at the end of each shift in the portal. Further instructions on how to document shift notes and track client progress will be covered in the portal and payments portion of this training. For now, let's make sure we understand the significance of desired outcomes and how they guide your work as a DSP. Now let's go over the K-Plan section of the ISP, which gives you critical information about the approved hours or units of support available for the client each month. Staying within these limits is essential for both compliance and effective client care. In the K-Plan, this box shows the total number of units the client has available. The second box specifies what those units represent, which is usually hours, and the third box breaks down how those hours are distributed over time, or the frequency of available hours. For example, this client has 160 hours of support approved for the month. It's important to understand that you cannot exceed these hours. Going over the client's approved hours could result in disciplinary action, so it's crucial to carefully track the time you spend with the client. The good news is you can easily check the available hours in the portal. This allows you to monitor the remaining hours and plan your shifts accordingly. If you need help locating the client's attendant care hours in the portal, there is additional training on how to find that information in the portal training module. If you're still unsure or need assistance with understanding the hours, please reach out to your relationship coordinator for guidance. One more thing I would like to point out is the box below the units section also specifies the dates when those hours are available. In some cases, clients may have different sets of hours across multiple time frames. We'll cover how to manage these variations in the next section, but for now, the key point is to stay within the approved hours and use the portal to keep track of your progress. Now let's look at an example where a client has multiple time frames for available units in their K-Plan. This is something you may come across when working with certain clients, and it's important to understand how to manage these different time frames. In this first section, we can see that the client has 160 units available with a start date and an end date for those hours. This tells you how many hours are available during that specific time period. However, if you notice after this section, there's an additional block with a new set of dates. In the second portion, the client has 320 available units. Once again, we have a new start date and a new end date for those hours. This is often the case when a client has different needs during various times of the year. For example, the client may have fewer hours available during the school year, but then when summer break comes around, their hours increase because they need more support. As you plan your shifts, make sure you're aware of these changes in available hours. Always pay close attention to the start and end dates and the number of hours allocated for each period. It's your responsibility to track these shifts in hours to ensure you're providing the right amount of support without exceeding the approved limits. Once again, be sure to check the portal to monitor how many hours you've worked and what's remaining. If you ever have questions about the available hours or need clarification on managing timeframes, don't hesitate to reach out to your relationship coordinator for assistance. The final section of the ISP we'll cover today is the risk management plan, which is essential for keeping your client safe. This plan outlines both general and client-specific risks, as well as how to handle those risks should they arise. Let's start with general risks. The first item here addresses emergency preparedness in the event of natural disasters or other unplanned emergencies. For example, in our area, we may encounter flooding or ice storms. This section provides guidance on how to respond to those situations. In this case, it indicates that you should follow the emergency plan already in place for the client's family. The next section covers abuse prevention. As a DSP, you are a mandatory reporter, meaning that it is your responsibility to report any suspected abuse. You've already received training on mandatory reporting during the onboarding process, and you've acknowledged your understanding of how to identify and report abuse. If you have further questions about mandatory abuse reporting, please immediately reach out to your compliance specialist. Another common general risk is elopement, where a client may try to leave a safe area without permission. This section will tell you exactly how to respond if a situation like that arises. Make sure you're familiar with these procedures, as quick action is often necessary to ensure client safety. Those are examples of general risks that can apply to many clients. The next part of the risk management plan is client specific. Known risks are unique to your client. In this section, you'll see a list of specific risks related to your client's behavior, medical conditions, or environment. For example, a client might have a seizure disorder or a history of aggressive behavior. Right next to each risk, you'll find detailed instructions on how to handle it, including steps to take in case the risk materializes. Since this part is highly individualized, it's critical that you review it in detail before you begin working with your client. Make sure you understand the risks, and if you have any questions, reach out to your education specialist for clarification. They will be going over the known risks with you during the ISP review, but you should still familiarize yourself with any risks specific to your client. In summary, the risk management plan is here to help you ensure the safety of your client by giving you clear guidelines on what to do in both general and client-specific risky situations. Make sure to familiarize yourself with this plan thoroughly. As we wrap up this training, I want to take a moment to reinforce some key points and provide guidance on next steps. The core purpose of having DSPs work with clients is to drive the desired outcomes outlined in the ISP. Remember, your primary role is to focus on helping the client achieve their goals, not to do house chores or homework, but to directly support them in working towards those outcomes. Everything you do during your shifts should be aligned with the ISP goals. However, reaching those goals doesn't have to feel rigid or purely task-driven. This is your chance to build a meaningful connection with your client. Use the one-page profile to understand what motivates them. Do they thrive with verbal encouragement? Is there something specific that drives them to succeed? Use these insights to engage with them in creative and innovative ways that may make progress fun and impactful. By being proactive, supportive, and encouraging, you are enriching your client's life. The work you do is incredibly valuable, and we want you to know how much we appreciate your dedication. We're here to support you as well. Going forward, an education specialist will reach out to you to review your client's specific ISP in more detail. While this training gave you a broad overview, the education specialist will focus on the specifics relevant to your client. ISP reviews are mandatory under Oregon administrative rules, and BTS has an internal policy that requires you to respond within 48 hours when contacted by staff. Please be prepared to schedule that time when the education specialist reaches out. Finally, if you ever feel like you need new ideas or additional support in helping your client achieve their desired outcomes, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help and provide the tools and guidance you need to succeed.